2013 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. I'd like everybody to please stand as Reverend Jonathan Hammond of Grace Truth and Real Retreat Church gives us their invocation and remain standing for the pledge that I will lead. Thank you. Reverend Hammond.
Thank you. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we give you thanks for this new day, not as we ought, but as we are able. We give you thanks for this place that we are privileged to live in, for the beauty of the mountains, for the new life of the springtime, for the reminders of your grace and love all around us. And we give you thanks, Lord, for these people here, whom you have called to be your servants, your leaders of Wythe County. We pray that you would guide and lead their conversations and their discussions, their decisions, that they would be the servants of your people you have called them to be. And we give you thanks for those gathered here to listen and to bring matters forward. We pray that you would guide and lead them all as well. Be with us as you have promised to be, and guard us and keep us all the days of our lives. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business is citizens' time. Do we have anything for citizens' time?
I don't think anybody signed up.
Have no one signed up, so I will close citizens' time. Moving on, we'll have the minutes of a previous meeting of April the 9th, 2013. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion. We approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Now, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as they are presented? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Horning?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And aye. Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. We will now move to payment of the invoices. Is there a motion to approve the payment of invoices? Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second. Now, gentlemen, is there any particular invoice you'd like to talk about or have concerns?
I'm just curious on the water and wastewater.
What page is that?
I don't know.
No, I understand.
I'm on this new thing. I don't.
Look at the bottom left, right, bottom right. Tells you the page.
Okay. Well, anyway, there are several electrical bills that run into the like $7,900, $6,400. Were those anomalies or what?
No.
What is that unusual?
It is not. The pump station pumps all the water, several million gallons a day at Fort Chisholm, the regional water plant. That bill. Actually, that's maybe a little more than
Well, maybe it's the first. Maybe I just hadn't noticed it before.
and the water bill under wastewater, the wastewater treatment plant is always.
Okay. Okay. That was the only question I had.
Anyone else with a question? All right, we'll proceed to the payment of the invoices. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you. Next is unfinished business. Mr. Dalton, is there any unfinished business that you know of?
Danny. Microphone.
I'm not on? Okay. Thought I was.
Tell us to turn ours on.
Okay. I did wire up. I just didn't say turn on. All right. Anybody have any unfinished business? All right, we'll move on to reports. And first is Sam Crockett, Treasurer's Report. Sam? It's new technology, Sam. I'm trying to operate too.
Like I said, those pads are complicated to work. I got Arlene one for Christmas, and she still having the time working.
Well, if Arlene can't work it, you know where I am.
I'm low tech, I don't even attempt to play with it. I'm passing around kind of an updated revenue statement collections. On our consolidated account report, we're at $48,484,000. In our general fund balance, at the beginning of the month, we had $26,254,000. And then on that updated report that's coming around, we've taken in $17,695,000 in our collections. We're about $836,000 above our budgeted figures. We're about 105% of our budgeted figures. We still got outstanding taxes over real estates. You can see the outstanding there. The personal property, we've exceeded our budget, but we still have a bunch of personal property tax too. I mean, we printed the warrant list the other day, and I think we had, I don't know, maybe 26 pages of warrants that we're going to work on this year. But anyway, it's the way it works. On collected taxes during the delinquent tax during our sticker season, we took in $579,000 of taxes. About $277,000 that was real estate, and $302,000 was personal property during the sticker season. And sticker sales this year, they're within 23 of last year. We sold 23 more this year. We were 15,039 of the sticker sales right in, of the car stickers right now. So we've sold quite a few of them this year already. The next to the last day we thought was going to be the big day, we sold about 1,200 of them. And then on Monday, we sold over 1,300 of them. So we had a couple of busy days. Anybody got any questions about that?
I do, Sam. If you sold about the same, this 116,000, you didn't update that, right? I guess that's because it shows on stickers the motor vehicle were $116,000 behind.
Yeah, it should have been updated.
So if we sold the same stickers, I thought we'd got the same amount of money we got left.
Well, no, we're selling $5 cheaper.
75. Okay.
We're selling $5 cheaper. We lost a lot of money on that $5 rebate or discount as far as from last year. That's going to be the difference on that.
But that was, yeah, 277,500. Okay.
So, but that's why the dollars are down on that. Got one other item. Anybody else doesn't have any questions we need to talk about?
I got one more question before I quit.
Okay, what is that?
On the machine and tools, does the 2.7 include the 600,000 that you transferred to Crossroads, or is that exclusive? Is that inclusive or exclusive?
I'm not sure. You're going to have to ask Kim and Debbie about that. Ask Bruce and Debbie.
Inclusive or
I'll shoot from the hip and say that would be inclusive in there, and then we would transfer it later.
okay? Because we did not include it when we did the budget of 2.2 million.
That's probably what we've exceeded the budget is that money, but it's like $500,000, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sam.
The other thing is kennel tags. We're going to have to do something about it. We're either going to have to take them out of the ordinance, or we're going to have to tighten up the dog ordinance. We've had 6, 8, 10 people come in wanting to buy kennel tags, and I said, "Where's your sheet from a dog warden?" Well, I've called them for months and they won't come out. Those guys aren't going out and checking these kennels. We need to do something. And I've told a couple of people, I said, well, hell, don't buy regular tags. They're not coming out and check you. Why buy dog tags? I mean, they're not. So either they're going to have to do away with kennel tags altogether, or they're going to have to start checking on those tags a little better. But we've had several people that have complained about they won't come out.
Before you can issue
Go out there and have Rhonda call the game dog
It's
warden.
an
See if they
inspection
come up here.
slip from the dog wardens. And people have called them for months and stuff, they said, and trying to get them. one lady told Linda Smith that, she'd been waiting a year to get them. And Linda told her, said, well, just don't buy your tag, just wait till they come out. That's just, it's a problem. We need to, and they come in complaining to us, and we have no control. I think I've had a couple try to call Stephen about it. I don't know what to do. We need to do something about it. We've had a lot of complaints about that.
John, that sounds like something you can
We're calling them. They'll be here in just a minute to answer the question.
All right. Thank y'all.
That's as fast as I can get them as soon as they
It just needs something to be done one way or the other.
I agree.
Sheriff, I believe you're next on the agenda.
Good morning.
Morning.
I guess let's start with the old business that we talked about last meeting about the Affordable Health Care Act and how it affects the hours for our part-timers. I attended the sheriff's conference in Portsmouth last week. They brought in the State Department of Human Resources manager to talk about the Affordable Health Care Act. And long and the short of it is, we're stuck unless we can get a law enforcement exemption. And they themselves, I did not realize that the Commonwealth of Virginia had as many part-time workers, they call them seasonal workers, because of all the state parks, they're having to go to the same policy as we are. So, of course now, the parks are closed down for 6 months out of the year, so it's not as great a problem for them. But there are some issues that they're having to go through themselves on it. They also said that if the revenue for a program comes from the same source, to like me, and I mean, she jumped right on this because apparently everybody else had been talking to them about running these people through 2 different programs. But they said as long as the funding source came from one program, that the policy would have to apply. So we're back to 28 hours per week, which is, right now it's not an issue, but it's going to become an issue. We advertised for 2 part-time courtroom security personnel, and came up with 2 that were certified, but of the 2, we'd only get about between 3 and 4 days of work a week out of them because they're holding other jobs. So right now we're okay, but in the future that can be a problem for us.
It's my understanding, I've got a long list, letter from Anthem addressing the same issue. They came to the same conclusion. However, understand that if you paid these same people and you paid them, if they came to you through manpower, through a temp, and they were certified, then you could actually work those people more than those hours, and it deals with them. Can we sit down? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they still be certified, and when they get to you, you're really still your employees. I'd like to sit down with the personnel committee and see if we can invite a couple of them in and see if it appears, and it's not my idea, I got it from some other smart person, that is a means to circumvent the 28-hour or 29-hour. And I haven't got to talk to you about it, but if we can sit down with the personnel committee and bring one of those people in, I'd like to do that, if you'd be willing to do that.
What the rates are.
Huh?
We can see what the rates are.
They'll make just a little bit more, but, I mean, they gotta make a profit on it, but it is a means to get these people more hours.
How long can somebody be considered a temp, though?
I do not know the answer to that. I think if it's Manpower or Bright or whoever, it's their employee, they can be a temp. You can hire them, I guess, contract out. But I just thought that was another means that we could help solve the problem. I mean, yeah. But I got that tip from somebody in Eastern Virginia, so I thought I'd explore it and bring it up at the board meeting.
Well, I know I'm gonna lose one who we had stolen away from Virginia Tech. But, you know, they don't work their officers in the performance that he was doing, which was parking lot security. They don't work them in the summertime, which made him a seasonal worker, and he wouldn't exceed the 1,500 hours a year from Virginia Tech. So they were working him more than 28 hours. So I don't know. He's very concerned about it, and basically has given me the opportunity to see if there's any way around it for him in particular. But we can't compete with somebody that doesn't work 12 months a year.
That's true.
You know, as far as the hours we're able to give them. I don't know how he'd make out on gas. It's quite a trip to make several days a week, but you know, that's his choice. But the biggest problem we're having is finding certified people, because sending them to school to me is just not a viable opportunity, viable choice, because of so many hours they have to spend at school. It'd be some months after they finish school before you could use them. Earlier in the year, after the incident up in Connecticut, I know y'all had asked about possible COPS grants for school resource officers. As much as I hate to deal with the feds, they are offering on a competitive basis. They have opened back up the COPS hiring program for school resource officers. And I'm just throwing this out to y'all. It's going to be expensive. It's a 75-25 grant. They pay 75, we pay 25 for 3 years. The 4th year is 100% local funds retention in order to certify on the grant itself, which we certified on all of our previous COPS grants by retaining them the year on our own hook to where there's no federal funds. But they do have a cap on what they'll pay over the 3-year period, which is $125,000.
How many would that buy?
They don't say how many you can ask for, but being a competitive grant, you know, I'd say after you put the grant in, they'll tell you how many they'll give you.
Well, I say if you got the whole grant, you said it was $125,000?
Oh, no, that's per officer. That's the
For a
most they'll pay.
4-year period.
Yeah,
But you're not paying
3-year
anything
period.
for the 4th year. I mean, we pay out all the 4th year.
All the 4th year we pay.
Okay. So if
For
you go
3
into this, you gotta
years-
guarantee the 4th year.
You're guaranteeing a 4th year if you accept the grant. to give you an example, our 3 schools resource officers right now, the total program, this is vehicles, gas, uniforms, fringe benefits and salaries, is $166,814. That's for 3 people. DCJS on that paltry little sum that they appropriated in the General Assembly, which is roughly 1.8 million. The most officers you could get was 1, and this is crazy. They could only be assigned to 1 school, which I have a problem with. Picking 1 school to put a school resource officer in through DCJS. You know, when all of them need coverage of some type or another. If y'all would like me to pursue this, I think the best way to do it because I'll be honest with you, I couldn't sustain 6 officers at this rate for the time period that we're talking about. But there is a possibility I could go for 3 and have them rotate around between the schools to where they'd alternate school on irregular schedule.
You're running a program right now, I guess that you're running yourself. I've seen them there in the mornings, and we've got point of entries at all schools now, I think, where we just trying
Single point.
A single point for all.
And it is long. I had a heck of a time getting in Fort Chisholm High School the other day. And then when I walked inside, they were like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "You must not be from around here." I said, "Read this." They were like, "Oh, okay." But the schools are taking the security measures seriously, which I applaud.
I substituted for Ms. Walters at Retreat Elementary School a couple weeks ago all week, and what you've done, having the officers there when the buses come in and when the kids come in and everything, that I think people in the community really appreciate that.
We've gotten a lot of positive feedback
Yeah.
on that. Plus, the guys visit the schools on an irregular basis during the day, which I'm not going to say it. Let's just say that's what we've been doing, and so far it appears to be working. The only drawback with it, of course, is when we're low on manpower for sickness, vacation, that type of thing, or training. It cuts back on the number of visits that we can make to the schools each day. But, we've been hitting the schools hard and continue. And that's something that we're doing on our own budget right now. Everybody that's doing it is comp board funded, with the exception of the old COPS program personnel that we retain on a full-time basis now. That's the cheapest alternative.
Well, I think it's a benefit, and I think the teachers appreciate it, and just makes everybody feel. Just having that car in the parking lot means a lot sometimes.
Well, another thing is I watch kids come through, and a lot of times Officer Evans is at Rural Retreat, and he will be standing there at the door greeting the kids as they come in, which is never a bad thing.
Oh, no, not at all. No, I did the same thing at Banks Meadows until we got this thing organized. I was down there for 3 weeks, and I scared one little kid, which, looking at me, is not unusual for me to scare little kids, but after the first day, she was fine with me. She was a special needs child, but she accepted me after that. And I've talked to the principals all the way around, and everybody appears to be pleased with it. So, that would be the cheapest option, continue to do what we're doing now. Because this program here is going to be expensive. And my resources, like I said, I don't have this kind of money spread into that program. Not without.
And I don't believe you're by yourself from what I hear on the news. You know, there's a lot of
Same way the state over.
Yeah.
There were a lot of questions at the sheriff's conference to the DCJS representatives about this. Lots of questions. And, you know, DCJS was like, that's the rules. We can't do anything about it. You know, the one officer per school, and you only get one officer if you're lucky. So, to me, that's not a viable option. Because I don't want to be the one that makes a choice as to which school
Oh, nobody's want to.
gets the school
Can't win that
resource officer.
choice.
Will you send us a copy of that, Sheriff?
Did you give me a copy a while ago of your COPS grant? Yeah. The COPS grant stuff, so that we can talk.
I'll send you a copy.
Okay.
I'll send you a copy. Well, I'll give you this. I've got it on email.
And I'll trade you that. We already did it.
Oh, you already did it?
Would that be something that maybe the budget committee wants to discuss a little bit later, gentlemen? Yeah, sure. I think we need to look at it, the ultimate cost. And so I'm going to refer it to budget committee and see what we can do there.
Well, we do have a deadline on the
Application,
application.
when is that?
May the 22nd.
Budget will meet before then, just to have some idea. I guess you can apply for it and not accept it even if after. I mean,
You can
we
apply for it and change your mind, not
Change your
accept
mind, that'd give us more time to see how the funding could be worked out.
Yeah, it is, it's not a simple fill-in-the-blank grant. There's a lot of narrative to these grants. It's not like the Burn Memorial where they come up and say, here's the money, give us the match, and you're good to go. So we will go ahead and start exploring that. Federal people are not, they've never been easy to deal with, but now they have gotten even thicker layer of bureaucracy when it comes to grants. I mean, you actually have to send your reports to 2 different agencies now, where it used to be just one. So, but we can get started on it, and y'all can let us know about it. Okay?
Questions?
Where are we on the trash pickup?
I'll refer to that.
The vehicle is at the shop with being welded, whatever the sheriff agreed on the top and windows and the cages. It's at the shop being welded on and prepared as we speak. The problem we had, I think, was we didn't receive any applications. Is that true?
That's the problem. No certified applications for that particular job.
Well, what's the answer?
Gotta have certified people. If we could find, maybe after July 1, when a lot of people retire from local agencies, they'll still be certified, and they may be looking for a part-time job. That would be the best answer, but certification is the problem.
So it's not gonna happen.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that at all. Not at all.
Now, is this a problem with the pull program, or can we not do anything when the bus is ready?
Well, it would cut back on the number of hours each week that we could operate on. And if we can come up with this idea of the temps going through Manpower, if we can find certified people through there, that would
You know, clean up after the weeds and the trash gets up tall in the summer is not gonna be near as effective as if y'all could come up with some way we could do it now. I would think it's not gonna take all summer to get that bus ready.
Oh, no.
So it's a manpower thing. Is there any short-term answer that you can come up with that we could get some spring cleanup going?
There's always a possibility that I could ask my regular patrol if they would be interested in overtime. The problem being with regular patrol on overtime is they exceed what VDOT will give us per officer.
What that really means that we would have to supplement it a little bit.
Yes.
Or I don't know what the rate is on overtime. I think I've got it straight on what the VDOT rate is.
Right.
And to get this job done, we don't have to make any money on this. It'd be nice to break even, but it shouldn't be a profit
I'd like to break even.
Yeah,
Rather
but
than going in the hole.
for a spring cleanup, I think that's a board question. Do they care about trash as much as the phone calls we get?
VDOT.
No, I'm talking about the board to do some kind of spring cleanup. We've been kicking this thing around for a long time, and it don't seem like we're making a lot of progress other than putting bars on the bus.
Well, I advertised for employees and came up with 0, so,
How much does it cost to send to the school to get certified?
you're looking at 40 hours a week for 7 weeks. That's 280 hours right there. $275 because you're adding a personnel. So it's $275 per officer that would have to be paid to the academy. And then they actually have to go through a field training process.
Temps would have to do this also, wouldn't they?
Pardon?
Wouldn't temps have to do this?
If we're looking at certified people, already trained,
Oh, okay. Well, why would they want to come back and be a temp?
because they can get more hours.
Okay, on the insurance side, side of it. Right,
Yeah.
okay.
You get past that.
Or are we not gonna face another problem? And we all wanted the prison to open in, Grayson County, but we're gonna lose people. The jail's gonna lose people too, and, maybe some Wythe County citizens, you may even lose a deputy who might wanna go over there and be a guard or something.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
With what we did several years ago with the hazardous duty pay and the 5% raise that y'all granted us, that got us up to the level of the.
So they wouldn't be looking to go?
Yeah, because they're gonna have to drive their own cars over there and back every day. Now, the regional jail is looking to lose, I believe he said 25 was their best guess.
Mall security people, do they operate by different rules? Mall, if you're a shopping mall, do they operate on different rules as far as?
Yeah, if they're rent-a-cop, they're,
Well, that's what I'm saying, but can a rent-a-cop be used at a school?
At a school?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a gun on, and he's walking around in a lot of these shopping malls today.
Well, a lot of mall security don't carry guns, do they?
No, some of them don't, but some of them do.
Most of the ones that do are certified.
That's what I'm just trying to see if there's any way around certification. Obviously, there's not. Okay, I was just trying to come up with something.
to be a certified law enforcement officer, you have to attend the academy, pass so many hours successfully. Then you have to ride with a training officer, I believe, for a certain period of time. Yeah.
Now, the nice thing about this particular situation is that they would not have to be road certified. They would only have to be jail certified, which cuts about 10 weeks off of the training process. But once again, we could put it out to officers for overtime if they want to work overtime, doing something other than traffic.
what is the differential between what VDOT will pay and what overtime would mean?
Off the top of my head, we'd probably be looking at, losing about $5 to $7 an hour minimum, some even more. You're thinking, Joe, I'm waiting.
Nope.
There's not an unemployment problem. Law enforcement. Is there?
Absolutely not.
That's the bottom line.
Once you get certified in law enforcement, you've basically gotten your ticket punched to go anywhere you want to go. And we've lost a lot of officers down through the years to Christiansburg, which is the highest paid law enforcement agency, short of the state police, in the New River Valley. So once they get that certification, first thing they do is start looking, if they're law enforcement certified.
Can town officers do this part-time job with us?
Well, we do have a memorandum of understanding between the two. I could talk with the chief and see if he might possibly have some officers that would be interested.
Do they have a lot of part-time officers?
They have no
None.
full-time officers. All their officers are full-time.
Sheriff? Sheriff, if I may, can we get a list of the employees that the jail has from Wythe County and send them a letter and say, or would you be willing to do this? Work for us part-time? That should be a big list of people.
I could go through Gerald on that.
I mean, they'll be here, they're familiar with the jail, they're certified. The jail can't really pay overtime, there's nothing in the budget. But if we could pay them, and they're local people, that might help us if, and I think there's a pretty sizable group of jailers from Wythe County.
Why do we have to limit it to local people?
You don't, but I was trying to find a benefit to locals.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, but we
Well,
don't have to.
Right.
Don't they also work schedules where they're off several days in a row?
They do.
Yeah,
They do.
and it could, you know, on their off days, and it'd just be extra money for them.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
No, it's a good way to explore that. I think we need to do that.
I'll take care of that.
Anybody have any other questions for the sheriff?
We're trying to get you trash up, honestly.
I guess I could work a couple extra days a week.
Just gotta keep my head against the wall.
Just throw in my time.
Tim's volunteered, how about you helping him? Let's get started. World knows you're a great hot dog maker, how are you picking up trash?
Not too good. If I have to bend over in
We
about
probably
an
couldn't
hour,
afford that rate either.
about an hour's time, I won't be able to straighten up.
All right, I'm going to go back now, Mr. Dunford's here, and ask him to come forward. All right, we've had some questions about inspection of kennels and so forth, and where you are on that. Are you backed up, or are you inspecting them now? Can you just give us some background on that?
We are inspecting them right now, but I've got several behind. I've got to get inspected.
Okay, can you give me an idea how far behind you might be?
I'll probably say around a half a dozen. That's just right off the top.
All right, can you give me a timeline on how long it think you could catch up
This weekend.
by this weekend? Okay. Go ahead, I was going to ask anybody else have any questions?
How long have they been waiting? I mean, how long has this backup been?
Some of them's been waiting a little while. That is because of our pickups and kennel inspections pretty much last, because I have to do my cruelty complaints, pickups, how much the litter costs, and then, you know, the time we spend at the shelter for the public to come in to adopt. And just like for instance, Friday, I picked up 5 before 12, and I ended up picking 2 more between that. I had a guy call me, he had 2 more tied up. I had 16 dogs in the shelter with no room, and then I had dogs on hold to pick up, which he was good enough to have them tied up for me, and he didn't mind keeping them until I could get there to get them. But a lot going on this time of year, spring year, and a lot of pickups and stuff.
How much time do y'all get to just go out and check people's, you know, check, see if they have got tags and got their
And we haven't
the
even
shots?
compliance check like that. If I get a call with a dog running, you know, at large or something, I'll compliance check there. Or if they come and board them back out from the shelter, we compliance check there. They don't have them will issue a summons or, you know, dog bite, anything like that. I also had a dog bite on Friday, and I got those 2 picked up, which I'm gonna have to do that dangerous dog on those, which that takes a long time to go through the magistrate's office and get all your paperwork done. Getting all your subpoenas, that's a long process, so you're tied up for a couple hours doing that. And then I had another one Saturday evening. A boxer attacked another dog, which then I still didn't have nowhere to put anything. I still had 16 in the shelter.
How many hours is your part-time person working at the?
20.
20?
Yeah, and then we covered the other 20 hours at the shelter for the both. So we're there with her schedule and then the hours for the shelter. Unless we get an emergency. Now, we have put a note on the door, out on the call, state police call with dogs on the interstate, or, you know, some emergency that, you know, somebody else can take care of. You know, put a note and go. But yeah, kennel inspections are pretty much my last thing I try to do, you know, with other ones.
How much more time, what would be the, if we considered extending the part-time hours to 28 to 8 more hours, what would that do for you?
That would free us up more to take care of other complaints from the kennel inspections and everything else too. Just free us up from having to be there at the shelter, wondering if somebody's gonna come in and look at a dog to, you know, if they call and say, we wanna come and look at the dogs to appointment wise. It would free us up more.
Have you ever considered making a schedule out, like a week schedule, you know, of certain, in managing your time? You know, I know you get calls and stuff, but allowing, you know, for calls and stuff to just schedule things to kind of to do.
Well, I haven't honestly. I talked to one guy on the kennel inspection, and that was my intentions Friday of doing it, but then the 5 straight come in, and then the 2 more I had to pick up 7, so I had to push that back and take care of this, because, I mean, the stray dogs, we really had to pick those up, because we don't know if they've had shots or not, and if we got into something, disease, rabies, or anything like that, you know, we don't know, so that's pretty much a, you know, given the strays have to be dealt with first.
That's all, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have questions?
I'd like to ask a question, doesn't have
Thing to do with dogs.
I think we can allow that.
Okay.
Arlen, the other, I don't know, it's been a few weeks ago. Did you get an opportunity to go over to Blacklick and Kimberlin Road and look? Is there anything?
I did, and I didn't see any violations at that time. When I went out the next day after I spoke with, you know, I guess it was at the budget meeting, and I didn't have anything.
I mean, that guy with the hay bales on the roadside, that's not a.
The only thing I seen on Kimberlin Road. There was
Right.
One roll of hay right there, and I assumed he was feeding it, but as far as the mud and stuff on the highway, I didn't see that.
Well, I didn't see him mud, but there, you know, he's, when I say he, I don't even know who it is. But they're, you know, starting to store hay bales on the right of way. I didn't know if there was anything that we could do. I mean, it is an ugly situation, but yeah, I didn't know if there was anything legally, you know, to do.
I spoke with VDOT, and I don't remember the guy I talked to. He says 40-foot right away through Kimberlin Road right there.
Mhm.
So it was pretty close to that one bale being on the right of way, just from center to center. But as of that day, that was the only thing, just the one roll of hay.
So VDOT doesn't enforce it much, do they? Okay. Thank you for going out there and looking.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, I know you're busy, but we need you to catch up as fast as possible. Sam, do you have any questions concerning this? No. Okay. All right, thank you.
Arlen, I guess before you take off, I guess for the rest of the week, owner release dogs, just don't pick any owner release up unless it's a stray reported, so you can catch up on the kennel license.
We actually got rid of 7 yesterday. Humane Society come in and took some, and might have reclaimed some, but then I turned around and brought 2 more back in that one, and I've got, one area in the county, I've got a trap set, he's got 9, got the chickens, and then another area in the county that, there's 3 or 4, and I haven't caught anything from people, on my trap.
Okay. And I guess college this is last week, and then there's a couple weeks in between. Maybe talk to your part-time person and see if she can work these off hours, 8 more hours a week. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barker, do you have anything?
I don't have anything unless anybody has something to ask me.
Anybody have a question for the commissioner? Looks like you get off. There you go. All right, we'll go to supervisors' reports, and I think Wythe.
I've had 2 inquiries about things. One, I got a call from a lady who lived on Johnny Lane, and I forgot to ask her which side of the road she lived on. Anyway, she said that she knew that they were going to start paving. She has a couple of kids who are autistic, and she's concerned about the speed through there and what she'd like to request. And Stephen, you probably work with this more than anybody, is you know, signs that that say like slow, children at play or whatever. I guess as they if they can incorporate that into the construction process.
Children at play signs have to be a personal request, and the person has to agree to pay for the sign.
Okay, all right. May I ask this then, Stephen, if I get you her information, can you give her a call? Okay. All right, that's one, and I'll do that. The other one is I had a lady who lives on Sprecher Road, which I know is not me, but she's in my church, so.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. She asked about, the water coming up Sprecher Road. She said that, nobody had contacted them about it, and she was just wondering if that was a possibility or not, or if maybe we could see if there's interest. Sprecher Road is out there where the VDOT shop is. I don't know how many homes are up through there, but anyway, I told her that that we had a meeting. I would ask. I told her I hadn't looked at the engineering drawing.
That is not part of the plan. How far past the shop does she live?
Not too awful far.
What's her name, may I?
Betty Sprecher.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it's the next house after the
Did you say
shop.
Betty?
Betty.
Betty.
Yeah.
I thought you said Vetty at first, and I was
No.
like, I don't know no Vetty
No.
lives over there. I know
Yeah.
where Betty Sprecher lives, though.
That's it. I'm sorry.
West Whitfield, Mr. Hall.
I don't have anything at this time.
Okay, Fort Chisholm District.
Just a standard complaint about signage being down. That's a sheriff problem, I guess, that the vandals tear the signs down. And the last time they put those road signs up, I thought they put them up so they couldn't be torn down, but obviously where there's a will, a lot of the road signs have been taken down. A lot of the, what the state call those marker signs, delineation signs at the culverts have been knocked down. I know the road signs are a county thing, but the delineation signs are a VDOT thing, if I got that right, but I normally don't understand VDOT's mission in life.
A lot of us have problems with that all the time.
These secondary roads where you have water problems, the erosion on the end of the pipe, having those signs there that show where it is, whether the water's up or not, makes the road a lot safer, and most of them are either down or not there anymore. That's it.
Should we refer VDOT to some of those, Mr. Dalton?
I assume most of the signs you're talking about, delineation signs, are up Miller's Creek. So
Oh, and other places where the erosion is right to the edge of the gravel, on a lot of these secondary roads, if you drop a wheel off, it's gonna flip a car or a school bus.
I know down Reed Creek Drive, I went through there this weekend, a couple of those signs are on those steep banks are down. But so just in general, usually VDOT, unless you have specific locations, they'll just ignore you. But I'll send Mr. Russell an email.
Now, on the road signs, does the county take care of all the street signs?
We take care of all the street signs. Back in the fall, we had Ike drive every road in the county, and we had a list of about 100 and some to put back up. And we ordered all those. I don't know if they're up or not, but I do know that through the Huckleberry section of Fort Chisholm District that somebody's taken the liberty to take their truck and push a bunch of them over or pull them out, however they did it. They're just laying on the side of the road.
Well, all the ones on Miller Creek are gone except the one that's there at Lambert's trailer. So obviously if there's a house close by, they don't get tore down. But Peak Creek Road sign's been up and down probably a half a dozen times in the last 2 years. And the last time in concrete, I thought it was going to make it, but obviously it didn't, and it's gone.
Boy, lead mines?
I had a couple of calls this time. One was from Mr. Duncan, who lived on the corner of 94 and Walton Furnace Road. He said all the water is running across his yard, and when it rains hard, you don't have it flushes the bathroom, the septic system out. And I also had a call from Clarence Clemens. He owns the property at the end of Walton Furnace, so it goes across Lots Gap up through Phelps Hollow there. He says somebody's throwing trash on his property there. He owns across the road on Lots Gap. Kind of a little dugout area in there. Yeah, it's right. You come up Walton Furnace and it crosses Lots Gap, or it comes into Lots Gap. Right straight across the road there.
Where the church is at, McCoy? Is that where the church is at?
No, come up Walton Furnace, and it hits Lots Gap up there above the church. There's no church up there.
On the intersection of Lots Gap, 94, and...
No, not...
94, that's where the water was running across the boy's drive in his yard there.
Okay.
Now, this other, Mr. Clarence Clemens, talking about was where Walton Furnace Road meets Lots Gap Road. He owns on the right across the road there. He says somebody's throwing trash on it.
That's when you cross the hill and start down.
Yeah, when you start off the mountain there.
Okay.
You come to your left down Walton Furnace.
Okay. Right there, you just go back towards where Jules on that property on the left then.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
That's all I have, Mr. John.
All right, thank you. Gene Spiegel?
I don't have anything at this time.
All right. Tim at large?
I also had a complaint on Johnny Lane that it's getting pretty washboarded. They put gravel on, they just bounces right back out. They say it needs to be scraped. And I've got a request that the trash is getting real bad on, if we could get the crew up in Regional Jail on Chapman Road. From the town's picks it up down to the bridge, but from the bridge all the way to Fort Chisel, and especially around exit 77, the truck stop up there. On that side, I've seen even baby car seats laying on the side of the road. They're pieces of them. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I don't have anything, Chris. And I'm going to ask a question. VDOT has from time to time come back, and you get the impression they're going to start coming to our day meetings, or we can set a time for them, because it seems like most of the questions we have here are involved in VDOT situations. Is there any chance that we can get them to come back and guarantee them at 10 o'clock we'll stop doing whatever else we're doing and we'll let them address the needs? Is that possible?
He offered that the last time, and I thought we said.
I thought we did too, but he's obviously not here, you know.
With this other long list, I'll just ask him, Bill.
Well, just tell him if he wants to agree to a time, and I think the board would concur with me, if it's 9:30, because he's got other things to do, or 9 o'clock, we'll take him first. But, and then, so they can go on. I have no problem with that, but I think 90% plus of all supervisors' times have to do with VDOT in some way or another, so I think it'd just be better.
Well, I will share with you what he told me about the scraping of roads. That every motor grader that was assigned to Wythe County was broken down 2 weeks ago. And
I can believe that, because they still haven't scraped Old King Road.
And they have 3 assigned to the Speedwell district, and all 3 of those were broken down.
I can believe it.
And the day I went out to look at the water line, I went through New Bethel Road, and they were scraping New Bethel. And I called Mr. Russell and said, here's the other 2, Old King and Sharon's Drive and whatever the roads that I asked for. But they have a big problem with the motor graders at this point in time, and equipment keeping it running. And in the Speedwell district, except for the rented one, there is no motor graders operation when I talk to them.
We're going to go back. Tim has something else.
I just want to say that I've been in touch with Morgan Griffin's office about the Affordable Health Care Act and working with them. And he sent me an email the other day that Adam, his person in his office, also called me. They were having a meeting with the director of HHS and to see and bring up some of the concerns about this part-time people that's got insurance, that's retired and stuff, to see if they could get something done. I seen the meeting it's on his website, the video of the meeting. I couldn't pull it up on the iPad, but I'm going to pull it up and just see some of the remarks that she made, and I'll get back to the board on that. But I am working, and Morgan Griffith is, Congressman Griffith is working and trying to get some kind of solution to this problem.
Mr. Chair, if I go back,
Mr.
It's 1,550 some feet up to the Spraker's house, according to this.
Okay.
We do have, and this will come before the Water Committee, we do have some leftover funds that are uncommitted at this time. We were going to wait till we get closer to the end of the project, that if there are side roads between Gene and Gary that are worthy, we probably have the opportunity to do a change order to pick up some of those shorter distances. So we will keep that on the list.
Was the state yard included on the?
No.
Okay.
It's not either. It appears the state yard, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 houses or buildings like the state yard up to where she's at. So we could pick up a few in that 1,500 feet.
And on a positive note, I have had some calls thanking us for bringing the water. Glad the water line is is coming through, And I talked to a girl this morning at the Kangaroo down here, and she thanked us for bringing the water. Said it sure does beat her well water. So,
Hey, well, the only thing I would request is, those people that they're thinking, give them my number too.
Well, we got a certain thing calling you.
Yeah.
This is a question, at some time, and I talked to the water people about this, as a project for the Ruleton Club, some of our guys that need something to do, we've talked about cleaning out around the hydrants, cleaning the weeds back. We hope to get started on that, and the water department did give us some drawings so we can find them. We talked about this last year. Have you implemented any way to flow check and test the hydrants now that it's spring?
We haven't done it. Actually, I think we've flow tested every hydrant in the last few years, but we haven't went back and checked every. And as a matter of fact, we know that we've got several hydrants that are non-functional now that need to be replaced. Maybe when we get the new county engineer on here June the 1st, he can help with that process. Because there's two factors with, it's just not flow testing a hydrant, Joe. You've got to actually measure at the highest point what the residual pressure was.
Yeah.
It takes several people to accomplish that.
Well, a more loaded question, I guess, I'll be the guy that asks it. What's the former county engineer doing to earn his insurance?
He currently fills out all the paperwork on the ARA, the American Restabilization Act. We've got a bunch of those projects that paperwork has to be filled out. It takes about 2 days. His time is spent filling out those paperwork every month and reporting on those projects.
Okay. So he don't have any time to check hydrants?
We're fast drawing close to the end of some of these are. The old school will be finished here. We issued a change order, I guess, last week, which is our 619. We're getting ready to issue a change order to go up Ricky Road. The Grams Ford sewer is, except for a fence or two, is about finished. So we're finishing out a lot of these projects, and he'll probably have some time this summer to do some of that, Joe.
Is there going to be some quick and instant usage on the Grimm's Forge? I mean, are the people down there hooking up as soon as it's finished?
As soon as we get it substantially complete, which should be, the inspection was last Monday, we should be sending notices out as soon as the pump test is done for the 2 pump stations, which is the 24th. That's this Thursday. As soon as those pump tests are done, we're ready to put people online.
So you're going to pick up, what, 5, 6 commercial customers on that link?
We will pick up a trailer park, a motel, a truck stop, Estes, and we call a church a commercial, and plus all the homes through there.
Okay, so it'll start bringing in revenue this summer?
Yes.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, we have right around $100,000 of uncommitted money. I've authorized a bore under the interstate to the opposite side to provide sewer to that, I guess it's the south side or east side of the interstate there with that change order. The Water Committee will be getting that at our next meeting.
Well, eventually, with one pump station, can Pleasant Pines be expanded onto that? No, it's not Pleasant Pines. What's the name of it?
It is Pleasant Pines.
Okay.
Yes.
With one pump station, it could get then gravity to the other pump station and work backward that way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
close the supervisor portion of questions. Do we need a break, gentlemen? It's 10:08, or can you feel good about going on? All right, we're going on. Next is the committee reports, and the first one is the budget committee.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee met on April the 18th, 2013, made the following recommendations. One, to amend and appropriate $2,970 to the Law Enforcement and Traffic Control budget line item 3102-46010 to be paid from the Police Activities Fund. And this is for a 2012 Bulletproof Partnership Grant. The grant is actually for $59.40, but it's a 50% match, and this would be paid out of the Police Activities Fund.
Okay. It's coming from committee, requires no second. Is there any discussion? Requires a roll call vote. Mr. Horning?
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you.
Number two, to approve change order number 4 in the amount of $220,431 for the Progress Park Lot 24 site development, and this is for mitigation of the loss of wetlands and streams. Approximately 0.303 acres of, well, that's not approximately, but 0.303 acres of wetlands and 544 linear feet of streams. And you saw that listed. That is, you know, when we disturb it there, we have to pay for it somewhere else.
Yes, may not even be in Progress Park.
No, I think this is down around Christiansburg somewhere.
We're just saying that
Anybody have any questions?
we fund
Again,
them, so
coming
why
from
charge?
committee, it needs no second. Will require a roll call vote, and I'll start with you, Mr. Hall.
Aye.
Why should
Aye.
we let her cut somebody before you get your
And
money?
aye. Thank you.
Number 3, to waive the bond or letter of credit requirement for the Wythe County School Board capital improvement projects. There's a letter in your packet from Dr. Brannon, you know, stating that Mr. Dunford, our building official, had requested a $5,000 bond or letter of credit for each permit for the Wythe County Public Schools capital improvement project, and he is asking for a waiver of those of that $5,000 bond or letter of credit.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll again roll call vote. Mr. Horning?
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you.
To amend and approve $1,586 to the law enforcement budget for the Byron Justice Assistance Grant. We recommend that.
Coming from committee again, needs no second, and I believe we'll start. It's Mr. Hall's turn. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you.
Number 5, excuse me, to amend and appropriate $1,150 for the purchase of a new computer for the Treasurer's Office.
Coming from committee, needs no second. Do I have any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 And aye. All right.
Number 6, to approve the purchase of a new PA system for $1,566, which shall be paid from the Parks and Recreation budget if funds are available. And in your letter, I know that there was a different number. Originally, $400 was going to come from the tourism budget, and then $1,165 from Parks and Recreation. But there seems to be enough money left in Parks and Recreation to you know, to pay for it.
So there won't be any control.
Oh, excuse me.
Anybody have any discussion?
You know, where is it gonna be deployed?
It's going to be used. It's a portable system, so they'll be able to use it like at Ager Park, at any place like down you know, Max Meadows, if they have anything. It's something that they will be able to take around when we have this, this festival, or the, the triathlon or whatever we have at New River. And I think that it will help with, with organization and everything. And it's not just a stationary thing. It'll be moved around. It will also give us the ability to run tournaments and things like that in a more efficient manner.
Any other questions? All right, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Horning.
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you. That concludes the Budget Committee report. We'll move to Fire and Rescue.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the Fire and Rescue Committee met on April the 18th, 2013. Recommends that all fire department vehicular calls be billed. Further, that the billing be done by the county and funds placed into a Public Works Reserve Fund marked Fire Department. Now, honestly, we did this right at the end of the committee meeting because some of us had to go to another meeting. So we've done this to bring it to the board for for full discussion. And when we say department vehicular calls be billed, I think that our intention was bill insurance companies.
So we don't have a recommendation? So.
Yes, I mean, it's a recommendation, but it's also open, for discussion.
Okay. It is a motion not requiring a second.
It is a motion not requiring a second. I guess what I was saying is that we didn't have a long time, to discuss it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. To discuss it in the committee, so we bring it as a recommendation for the board to discuss and vote on.
Is this
sorry.
not being done now? Are they not billing?
What we're doing right now is charging for any hazmat, anything that's a hazmat wreck, which is anything that involves a big truck, I guess, would probably be hazmat, fuel leakage or sometimes cargo or things like that. But this would be when the fire department is called out for any reason because of vehicular accident. It might be a big truck. It might be cars actually, and I know that we normally think of interstates, but the way that it's written, it could be a local community if there's a car and an accident and it catches on fire and the fire department comes.
I noticed there's already a ledger for Public Works fire department equipment. So this is creating a new. Would this be creating a new account?
Mr. Chairman, to flesh this out in conversation, if we can get our heads around the way we do the police activity fund, this would be a similar fee, monitored and managed by the county, not going to the departments. All departments would have the ability to contribute to this fund because the 3 rural departments that don't make interstate calls, people still seem to have car wrecks in those areas. So, but it would be a general fund that would be administered by the finance department and expenditures approved by the Board of Supervisors. It's a source of revenue that we don't have now, and it's a fair requirement to the insurance companies. Most recent interstate call that you saw on the paper was equipment was tied up there 4.5 hours. Quite a bit of equipment. But because it was not a hazmat call, it wasn't billed. This is a source of revenue that we've just been negligent to capitalize on. And the thought process is bill the insurance company. If they don't pay, that'd be the end of it. Not going to use that soft billing word, but it's to send it to any kind of accident where the fire department and the vehicle involved, whether it's a truck or a car or whatever. You bill it. If you get the money, the county's better off. If we can bill these funds and we don't have to transfer true expenditures to the general fund, it appears to me there's a double whammy there. We're getting twice the value. On whatever these funds are, they are better than zero that we're getting now.
And again, you know, we stipulate just the insurance company would be billed and no individuals would be billed. No bills would be sent to individuals.
Who makes the call? If I'm driving down Blacklick Road and run off the road and wreck my car, and a 911 call is put in that the fire department is also sent, I just want to know who makes that call. Is there a 911 people say we need a fire or a truck there? Or?
Under the current protocol, Sheriff, what do we dispatch fire?
So actually, the deputy or police officer on hand makes that call deciding whether or not, okay, that answers my question. I didn't know. Yes.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. One of the things that we had recommended earlier in the Fire and Rescue Task Force was to look at the possibility of billing homeowners insurance for fire calls, not the individual. I know that Mr. Grant did a lot of research on that and found that the communities that tried that, one of the things that happened was it fostered a lot of ill feelings in the community, because people when their house was burned, they felt vulnerable, and the insurance may pay, but it was kind of a little bit of a public relations nightmare. And I know if if it's a big truck company, I don't think that it's a public relations nightmare. But if it's a local resident who who for whatever reason wrecks, the fire department has to be called, and they call. And the insurance is billed. I don't know if it. I mean, I don't know if it's a consideration to consider the the public relations of that or not.
I'd like to respond to that. Is that ideally all the bills would go to transients and the truck companies and people from out of state, but we can't do that. It's got to be a universal obligation, and I think the opportunity, we don't know how much money this will bring in. I think we know that it's the right thing to do, or I feel like it is, but as far as causing a problem for the local resident, they pay an insurance premium, and we're not billing them, we're billing the insurance company. And there's nothing we do here that somebody's not opposed to. So I think the degree of opposition would be slight, if any, and the benefit can be significant.
May I ask a rule of order question? Sure. If someone votes for something in the affirmative, they can bring it back up at any time? If someone votes for something in the negative, it's after 6 months? Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Dahl.
I guess the question, and maybe Scott can answer this, if
this passes, should we not have a definite policy written of how it is to proceed, Mr. Hale, or so that the implementation of it is written in a manner that we can hand it to each one of the fire departments and say, this is how you're supposed to do it in a clear legal manner, that you got to get the insurance number or the information. And quite frankly, Sheriff, I don't know how you go about that during an accident, getting the insurance information if.
On the accident form, it's the insurance company information, address, contact.
Okay.
And I think that all those reports are now being turned into Mr. Davison from certain fire departments. That's one of the state rules, that they have a in-depth one-page report from the fire departments. Now, if all the departments are not doing that, it seems like to me that would be in an SOP thing that we also discussed, that we need some rules of engagement, the way fire departments are going to function and what they do. That'd just be another chapter in it. But as far as verbalizing what we're really saying, I think that Mr. Grant, since my motion was that it be handled by the finance department, for the billing, that he and Mr. Fothering come up with the wording to whatever degree y'all feel like is necessary to exactly spell out what we intend to do. It's pretty straightforward, but I'm sure there's some kink to it that I hadn't thought of.
I just want to be sure that we have a well thought out policy that the board approves, that is written, so they know what information to get and what to submit back to us, so that it's done properly and there's a clear message of how to get it each time.
Well, I agree. I think, we need a written policy. I mean, we'll have to have one.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Now, if there's a wreck on the interstate and there's a fuel spill, hazmat comes out, will that money go into what fund? Will it go into this fund?
Currently, we have a hazmat fund, we track it.
Okay, so
and it's appropriate.
This fund will have nothing to do, okay.
Well, the hazmat fund, what reason that we were confused, we thought that all wreck calls were being billed until this one happened and I asked the question. But in the hazmat fund, I think Mr. Davison told us that he bills for reimbursable on the material and truck time for his truck and the trailer, and I guess for a pumper that supplies the water. Is that correct?
Any vehicle that the county owns, we bill. We got an hourly rate we charge for.
Okay. Well,
if we use mats, we bill for the mats.
But is it a reimbursable or is it a service charge? Because obviously the county ought to be picking up some coinage on the trucks. But on the material, just at reimbursable, that sounds like a tip for tat.
Well, we're charging a per hour basis for the trucks.
Only on hazmat calls.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, may I ask Mr. Farthing any questions?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Farthing, as far as billing just insurance companies, can we do that without billing individuals?
I'm not sure. I think the bill has to go to the owner, and then they make the claim. Now, I'm not sure that's the case, but if you were in a car accident and you damaged the fender, or you hit me and damaged my fender, my claim is against you, not the insurance company. So I say, you got to pay me whatever to fix the fender, and then you tell your insurance company and they come and pay. So that's how I think it functions, but I'm not positive about that.
So you're saying that the fire department, that our billing would be against the individual, and they would be responsible for
for contacting
passing
the
it on
insurance.
to the insurance company. I think the hazmat is billed that way. The
It
hazmat
is.
goes to the trucking company, and the trucking company either gives it to the insurance company or pays it or whatever they do, but it's billed to the owner of the truck or the company.
That is true. We send it to the company, the owner of the truck. That's our relationship. Then the check may come from insurance or whoever it comes from.
All right, yes, this scenario, if I were in a wreck, even on a single car, but my car catches on fire, the fire department's going to come. The deputy would call the fire department. All right, then the bill for the fire department would come to me at my address, and I would be responsible for turning it over to my auto insurance company for payment.
That's my speculation of how that would work.
Is that, Mr. Hale, is that how you think it would work too?
If you only have liability, they're going to say, well, you don't have coverage for that.
I didn't understand what you said.
I was speculating again that if he has his wreck and it catches on fire by himself and he only has liability coverage, he may not have car insurance coverage to pay the fire department.
Right.
And what we're saying, there would be no further billing. There's not going to be a chase down the guy. It's to recover what's available for recovery. I don't know how you say that any plainer. The concern to me is if we keep putting the fire department's name in here, I think that is just not what we want to do. This is a service bill from the county for services. In other words, I wouldn't want to see an invoice come out that Speedwell Fire Department is sending you a bill. It ought to be from the county. Now, who answered that call might be more than one fire department, as this strawberry truck wreck was. So whichever fire department did it, and the reason I'm going there is Mr. Hausman's concerned that this is going to be some kind of backlash from the community, and the fire department's going to say, well, that's going to hurt our fundraising efforts. I think we're here to do what's right for the county, and the balance here is that most of these calls are going to be for trucks and out-of-state people traveling through. That's just the logistics of what we're dealing with. And for that small minority that might be an uninsured local motorist, so be it. You know, that's what we're really talking about.
All right, we have, coming from a committee, a motion on the floor. Chair is definitely unclear, and I don't know about the rest of the board members, as to the guidelines. I would like to request the committee, if they would withdraw that motion. I have no, in principle, I agree with it. But do we get the actual guidelines down to where we all know where we're on the same page? Maybe working with the county attorney to set up these guidelines so we know what we're saying. Do y'all feel better about that than voting on it now? Because it is a motion and it could be voted on now, but as chair, I can request that they take it back and redefine it.
Well, the motion could be amended pending us looking at the policy and procedure.
I assume that's true. Yeah.
I think if we agree on it in principle before we spend money to have it worded out, that would be a good thing. If we don't agree on it in principle, there's no point in involving Scott.
Okay.
And I'd rather vote on the principle.
All right, so we're talking about, and that's what I said, I don't have any problem with it myself either, but it's just that y'all confuse me, just listen to what.
Well, I mean,
well, that's what the devil advocate's supposed to do, is to confuse everybody.
Yeah, well,
I don't
I'm
have.
gonna give you stars. So,
well, okay, now let me ask them.
you're gonna do the amendment, or citizen committee?
Well, I would offer that as amendment that that this be voted on, pending the the approval of the the policy and procedures.
So technically, we have to vote on the amendment first, and then we attach it to the motion and so forth.
But I just made, I hadn't gotten to.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
I'm just telling you.
okay.
So now we need a second.
I'll second.
We have a second to amend it. Any discussion on the amendment only? And that's to set up the guidelines, right?
Well, that in, as Mr. Hill said, and Mr. Hall, we vote on this in principle, but the procedure, we have to make sure that we understand it and it's clear before it goes into effect.
All right, procedure. Anybody have any questions on that? All right, we're voting on the amendment only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, we have the motion as amended before you. Is there any more discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It has passed. Thank you. Now we can move on. County Administrator's report.
Excuse me. Mr. Chairman, I do not have anything at this time.
All right, County Attorney.
I do not have anything at this time.
All right, we'll go to new business, and the first thing is the consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent calendar. Any discussion concerning any matter with the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Horny.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next, we have set public hearing for VDOT Secondary Road 6-year plan. Dalton, do you have any concerns or talks with VDOT as to when that's possibly be a good date for them?
We would, they've asked that it be set at our next night meeting, September the 14th. I think that's whatever
September.
date that is.
That's right.
Is that true?
Did he say September?
No, it's May.
May 14th.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought,
May.
I thought we're not
thought
waiting
my
6
missus-
years, are we?
May the 14th at 7 o'clock here in the boardroom. I'm wishing a few months of my life away. A couple of things.
What, Mr. Dalton, what time did you say?
6 p.m.
6 p.m., yeah.
Okay, we don't need any action on it. We have to set that.
We have to set
All
that.
right, so do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
All right.
Now, the discussion for you is we had a resolution back many years ago, before some of you guys were on the board, of roads that were taken off the plan. We had 2 paved roads, Fairview and Glade, which will not be addressed at the public hearing. Those roads are paved roads currently. But the roads that will be addressed will be Archer Lane, Dunford, Millers Creek, Krieger, Myrtle Lane, Sharon's Drive, Project 1, Project 2, and Greasy Creek. Of these, I think we've talked about this a little bit before here in the board meeting, there's a minimum road count to qualify. The consensus always had been was to add these roads back on in the lists from priority. I was notified yesterday afternoon, and I've asked VDOT to put some counters out on the road, on Archer Road. They seem to think that it doesn't meet the requirements now of minimum road count.
They hire enough people to do that.
Which number are they using with this new opinion?
They have a paved road count out there on Archer, then they have a dirt road count, and they're using this, where they had a dirt road count out on the unpaved section, which was 100 and some vehicles per day. The minimum is 200 to qualify for this program. And that's the reason I went ahead and asked that they put the counters back out. They've asked that I send, or the county send, a listing of all the homes on that road. Typically, for each home, you can account 4 to 5 trips per day.
It's a through road.
Mm-hmm.
How can they apply that number?
Well, I assume if they see there's 20 houses out there, they think that they've got an erroneous count. Oh.
Say again?
I say if they see that they've got a very large number of homes out there, they can justify they've got an erroneous count.
So they don't give any benefit for the fact that it connects those two, 52 and the Red Hollow Road?
Not under this other assumption they're trying to make, but that's the reason I asked for the counters to be put out before this public hearing.
Okay.
But that is a big issue. Dunford Road meets the criteria. Millers Creek Road meets the criteria. Krieger Road meets the criteria. Don't know about Myrtle Lane and Sharon's, because if you looked at the money available, then that's about where we run out. If Archer Road is taken off, then everything else that's rural rustic can be added on. So just be prepared for that discussion. I know it affects you, Joe, but as I told you last night, it's not my count. And we'll do everything we can to get a fair shake, such as asking for the counters back out there. The other method, I guess, is we can go out and do a daily count, physically do a daily count and certify. I would have thought Archer Road had more than a 200 road count. But that will be the issue that night. If only roads that meet that minimum 200 vehicle road count can qualify to go back on the 6-year plan.
Well, now that Millers Creek still is just the lower portion?
It is.
Because everybody but one from there up has said we don't want it paved because the speed will only get out of control.
Well, one of the things that VDOT asked me yesterday, Joe, was could you make the Millers Creek a bigger project? And I said, no, the consensus is from the board that we'd always just go to the intersection of Smith Road or Smith Hollow, whatever that is, and that's as far as it would go.
Yeah. Well, that's where the school bus turns around now, and I would think that's about 1 mile and 2/10.
And Dunford Road meets the rural rustic concept. There would just be minimum improvements, and the cost of it would be a few $100,000, maybe $600,000. Archer Road estimate is almost $3 million.
Well, their estimates don't mean anything to me. Some of these people might buy it, but there's not that much work to be done at Archer Road.
So if somehow Archer Road didn't meet the 200 requirements, this would be a nightmare around here. You would actually have to go out and find additional roads to put on this plan that met the 200 road count. And everybody that's on this road that doesn't qualify with the 200 road count would be very irritated at the least.
Well, if we lose Archer Road, the sheriff needs to have somebody here just to deal with Ms. May, because he'll have a full-time job. She's worked for years trying to get that road fixed.
Let me ask another question. There will be no funds available for right-of-way.
Under the new laws, I think for right-of-way donation of the road to get to 40 feet, I have conveyed to VDOT that would still have to be donated right away. That's what we've always. However, if they come to Joe Hale or Stephen Bear or Scott Farthing and say, I want to put a 4-acre pond, stormwater pond on your area, I think they ought to get compensated for an intrusion like that. I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with the road. All of a sudden, you have 4 acres of lost land. I wouldn't want to donate that to you.
Okay.
And
I'm talking about right away only.
Right away only. That's where we're at.
Okay.
And this pond is because it's triggered by the stormwater retention.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a pond that you can use as a pond. It's just a catch basin that has to drain down totally, doesn't it?
It could be evaporated. You can size it to use as a pond. I did talk to them about that.
Oh,
Joe.
good. Well, 'cause, you know, if you got a dry land farm, if somebody's gonna come in and build you a pond that you can use as a pond, it's an asset to your property. But if it's just a holding tank, which is normally the way you think of a retention pond, it catches it and meters it out. It's a liability on your property, but a pond is an asset to your property.
I will say that we had about a 45-minute discussion of whether that is not the VDOT way to do business, Joe.
What, sensibly?
To build a pond somebody could use.
Oh.
Their avenue is you build a pond that we release the water over time. My discussion with them centered around alternative use, which is permissible in stormwater management. They just don't like to discuss it that way.
Well, whether it's an asset or not an asset, I think if you take the 4 acres, they ought to get compensated. And if it's an asset to them, then it's a double win.
I agree with
If
you.
it's just plain right away, they want a better road, then I don't think we should have to pay for their right of way to get a better road.
Well, I agree with the second half of that, but you're being awful liberal about improving somebody's property and then paying them to improve it.
Well, it's still their 4 acres. I mean, I think.
It still will be after you improve it.
Huh?
It still will be, it's an easement, isn't it?
More than likely.
We still gonna collect taxes on that pond. I don't think on these water easements that you deed the property away. It's more of a damage assessment. So, that, you know, that's.
Well, most of you guys, I would call it a damage assessment if it was my property, even though it'd be an asset to me later.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just thinking of all the problems you're gonna see, because they're gonna say, you know, old Joe Hale got paid for that. Well, Gary Houseman didn't.
Yeah, that's the story of my life.
Probably story of Joe's. But y'all see where I'm coming from? How are you gonna make that call?
Well, in all civil engineering things, it is a call. Because depending on the lay of the land, what the land is used for now, what it's worth, I think it is a local site call. And that maybe you deserve some compensation. But let's just say it was $7,000, $8,000 an acre for a piece of bottom land. And you're putting it on a dry land farm, and I guess you know what I mean. There's no water on this farm. That pond, to me, is a definite asset. So is he entitled to full compensation plus the pond? My opinion is no. It might be involved somewhat.
Well, you have some more expertise than him. I was just thinking about, you're gonna get it into a situation where Houseman got his paid for, you do, vice versa. You know, if you just set a policy, then you got it covered.
Okay.
But that's up to VDOT anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not even our decision, is it? It's not our decision.
Not our
either.
decision.
But
I do agree with you. If you're improving a rural road, the people ought, it's, since colonial times, it's always been you donate the right of way and you get the benefit of a better road.
Right. But if you've read the papers and seen eminent domain, and people are not quite like colonial times anymore, in a lot of things. All right, so actually the motion is that we set this public hearing on May the 14th.
There's a motion somewhere in there.
And that did get moved and seconded,
Yeah, we haven't voted.
We've had, I kind of lost whether we got set.
How we got off on that.
All in favor?
Sorry about that.
I know you're in favor of it, so I'll start with you.
Aye.
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 And aye, thank you.
And speaking of public hearings on roads, there is one tonight at Speedway on St. Peter's Road.
At 5.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
Yep.
All right, we'll move down to, next is the tourism website.
We have a memo from Mr. Cody concerning the bids for the website. The recommended low bidder is Professional Networks Incorporated for the website, and the bidder to come up with logos is Duke's Printing for $195, and the logo, the website's $6,500.
What did they have budgeted in their budget for the website? This lower than what they
I
had
believe
budgeted?
it was $10,000.
I can't remember.
Now, reading this is this a request for us to approve it?
Mm-hmm. It
Okay,
is.
I didn't, it's just written as a statement.
I think it was intended to be a recommendation
Oh,
of
okay.
acceptance of the bids.
Well, the thing that threw me off too was down in the, last sentence that they had invited both vendors.
I asked them to include that to pacify the tourism committee that they would be presented, meet the vendors, and they have the opportunity to work with those vendors.
Okay.
Now, the 3 logos that Duke had designed and stuff,
Those were just samples, in my opinion.
So they're gonna pick one of the 3.
I don't know that we'll pick one of those 3. There's some criteria that the tourism committee had that came in through the strategic plan that you show the mountains, the tourism attraction, the river, the transportation. And just accepting one of those, I think with some tweaking and comments, you can probably get one of those better. I mean, but my personal opinion is there were 3 samples of what I can do. And I've already got some comments that I provided Mr. Cody that, like, one doesn't really portray the image I thought we wanted. The other one, with the lines and stuff, I know where the river's at, but where's the roads? And I can sort of picture the mountains and some of it. But I think give the tourism committees some opportunity to work with them and refine those things.
well, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, we approve accept the low bid for the tourism website.
Okay.
I'll
Just the
second.
website right now.
Yes, just the website.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. We're discussing the website for $6,500. Anybody have any further discussion on the website?
I will tell you that I sat down and went to each one of these bidders and looked at the websites they had as samples for others. I believe this Professional Networks had the most for me to navigate and make it interesting, that showed real people at events and, sort of flipping over and interactive than all the rest of those. That not only was low bidder, but I thought it was, if I'm looking for a website, it was the best one.
Okay, good.
These funds do come out of the tourism budget, correct?
It is.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion to accept the low bid from Professional Networks for $6,500. Mr. Hall?
Aye.
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 And aye. Okay, so nothing else coming out of that right now.
The logo, we're not acting on it.
Obviously, I don't think we
I
have.
think it needs some work.
I thought the way the bid was worded was they sent in 3 samples and then you were allowed, like from that, they would work with and they would send back and they send back 2 more samples or whatever or 3 more samples for them to choose from. I think this was just bid examples for them to work
Right.
off of. This is not bid. That was just for them to be the selected firm. And if you select Duke's Printing, then they will work to get what the committee, what the board wants as their tourism logo. That is not saying that that's one of them.
Is
was
that,
just to get the bid.
is
Well, how many-
Duke's the
how many
only
people
one
bid
that
in on
bid?
this?
No, we had 2 bids. They're the low bidder.
Okay, except Duke's as the low bidder on developing the tourism logo.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion now to accept Duke's at $995 to develop the logo. I just got one question. When you do something like this, it kind of confuses me. I divine a logo, and I want $300 for it, and it's the best logo that you've ever seen in your life. Man, it covers everything that you want. Gary designs a logo that Shalell mentioned maybe didn't have the interstate right, or the road right, or the mountains right, but he's only charging $195. Are we correct? I just want to make sure you're getting your best logo. That's how, if Duke's is best logo for $195, it's a win-win.
Well, the $195 is to develop a logo that you approve.
Okay, so you can send it back as many times as often. Well, yeah. Now, can we steal the other guy's logo if we like it? No, better not, have we?
I've had that happen with school boards before. Move on.
All right.
Pretty
Morning,
local,
are we
too.
ready to vote, Sarah? All in favor? I'll start with you. Bob and Bunny.
Aye.
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 All right.
Aye.
And aye, thank you. Okay, next we have the Appalachian Power Consumer Workshop they're gonna have. I think, Mr. Dalton, you're representing Wythe County along with several others. Anything else you want to say about that?
It's just another one of those tabletop exercises. What has come out of this is we are sharing data, and AEP has agreed to provide us their data now, that if we do get into one of these breach of dams or any problems with AEP, we will have their data and we can do a better job of analysis of what's going on.
That many people there, how do they operate something like that? Most of you observers, or?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have a question on the dam. Out of that meeting that we went to at Draper on the New River, there's 2 communities there. I think one of them is ill-advised, but to improve the river as a tourist attraction, is part of this that APCO will work to build a walk-around, some kind of transport path, whatever, and open up a designated route around the dam so canoe and kayakers can traverse the whole river. Now, that was a contention in that meeting of the New River group. That was the one that made sense, that if APCO would lay out a way to move around the dams and continue up or downstream. The other group was out there at Never Land saying we need to promote doing away with the dams, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we would ever be in that position. But being able to develop a portage around the dam with their input would help the river become a better tourist attraction.
Well, my answer is that this only deals with emergency response of imminent failure of what in those discussions. And actually, I broached that subject to them, Joe, at a meeting. The regional group, somebody has written a letter to them about these portages, and the response back is develop a plan and tell us how you're going to do it. Till then, because obviously they're not going to let you, up next to the dam, you've got to have a portage area, and you can't get but so close to the dam, the way I understand it. So you've got to get out so far upstream in a safe distance and then portage around it.
Right.
But that, different subject for a different time, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. We don't need to take any action on that.
No.
Next, we have a letter from Mr. Testerman from the Rural Tree Wythe County Fire Association requesting that we waive all fees.
For the building permits for that? Yeah.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
No.
Moved and seconded that we grant the Rural Tree Cabbage Fest on June the 8th.
And for the
And the
fair
9th.
on,
And the fair also for August the 6th and the 10th.
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We now have a letter from Mount Rogers concerning next year's, or I guess present year's development of comprehensive plan, and a bid from Mount Rogers to do this. I assume we need a motion to accept the scope of the work and the bid for $16,500.
I think until you adopt your budget, you can just delay this as long as, if it's, the money's not in the budget. Because if you accept the contract, then you're putting it in the budget until we adopt the budget.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we table this until the board does adopt the budget.
Sounds like a winner to me. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in, now it's by tabling.
Until we,
Get-
the
come back
budget
with a
time.
2/3 vote, but that's okay.
Well, if Tim would say until we adopt the budget.
Okay.
And then we can take out the word table.
Yes.
Okay, the record says we take out the word table.
Mhm.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any other business?
The only question is, at the joint governing bodies meeting, we have 3 items. If there's any other items y'all would like to add or for us to present, or y'all to present.
What are the 3 items? I don't.
Consolidated dispatch. The
Okay.
joint meeting, hopefully, is, we're going to have it
You're getting a vacation.
in the building next door, in the next to consolidated dispatch, and we will sort of do a show and tell as part of the meeting for consolidated dispatch. Then Code Red, which is a sort of like a reverse 911 system.
you missed it, go ahead.
And we'll have a presentation of that, an emergency medical dispatch, which is also another item for discussions. But that doesn't give us any updates on any of your projects or if it'll be the first time you have to have a tour of the new building over there. If you want to do that, or any other kind of items you want to include.
Are they up enough to kind of give us a working knowledge of what was going on over there now? I mean, they keep on, every time I talk to them, I say, when are we going to be ready? It's kind of pushed back a month.
When we're going to be ready for dispatch?
Yeah.
June.
June. Okay. Then they're up enough that on this date, that's a month away, the whole month of May. How much can they show us in there, is what I'm asking?
It's not a month away, it is.
Don't we
It's a
have
week
May to go
away.
through?
We can show you the computers and some screens, that's about it that day.
But that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. I suggest, y'all want to add any more to our part, or just give them a tour of the building and let the people in the, what am I talking about, Hal?
Consolidated dispatch.
Just show them what they can do. That'd be plenty, I think, especially if we're retreating the town of Whitfield. We'll have something. I'm sure town usually does. I don't know where the little retreat always does. What is that they do? Is that fine with everybody? All right, Mr. Dalton, we're gonna stay as is.
Okay.
All right, budget work session. You wanna tell us what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna look at the time, decide lunch now, or come back, or
Go to lunch.
go to lunch, and what time should we be back?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay.
Can you give us a rough estimate how much time you think we need this afternoon?
Well, as unprepared as I am, it's hard telling. But we will be finished by 4 o'clock or 4:30, no matter what.
And I want to thank Mr. Tim Reeves for setting this thing up so I didn't lose it and showing me where that little lock is. That's a good little thing to have. I pretty much stayed everywhere except this agenda. When it gets up to a certain part, it won't let you flip back and it won't go back that way. So you got to hit top level and then you got to find your way all the way through that thing again. Well, this is a whole lot more simpler. I thought they were supposed to make this simpler.